Your information is all over the internet. Your first and last name, your address history, your phone number in some cases. If you're here, you're probably ready to do something about it. Today, we're going to help you take your personal information off the internet though. We're going to review DeleteMe, one of my favorite data broker removal services out there. We're going to break down how it works, if it works well, and what it kind of leaves us wanting. So stick with me and let's get into it. There are a dozen data broker removal services out there. Of course, DeleteMe. You have Canary, Incogni, and Optery. But how do you know which one will work best for you? DeleteMe claims to remove your personal information from 850 data broker sites. This includes the top hits like My Life, White Pages, and People Finders. After creating your account, you will go ahead and put in your personal information. I know, sounds kind of sketchy, but you have to put in so that they can find it and remove it. The more information you put in, the more accurate the data broker removal service is going to be. So, first and last name, your current address, date of birth, email addresses, as well as phone number. What does DeleteMe do after you do all of this? Well, it gets right to work and scours the entire internet for your personal information on these data broker sites. Once it finds your personal information on any of the sites, it will submit automatically opt-out requests on your behalf without you having to lift a finger. It also rescans these sites to make sure that they've actually kept your information off the sites. If your information is back on these sites, it will then submit another opt-out requests. Every month, DeleteMe will give you a comprehensive report. You will receive these reports via email. They will detail which sites accessed your personal information, and they'll also confirm that your information has been removed. So, with all of that in mind, how does DeleteMe size up to the competition? Honestly, it doesn't size up very great. And let me break down why. DeleteMe does offer custom removals. This is where you can submit to virtually any website a opt-out request. But the caveat is you do have to do it manually. Now, do you want to do all that work when you could just be signing up with Optery and they'll do it automatically? This is why I recommend people with light digital footprints to use DeleteMe. If your name, address, and other personal identifying information is appearing on about 10 or less sites, then I would recommend using DeleteMe. But if you're above that threshold, then I would definitely recommend a more robust service like Optery. In terms of scan frequencies, Incogni, Canary, and Optery all scan for your information on a monthly basis, whereas DeleteMe will scan once a quarter. This leaves a huge gap and potential vulnerability in your personal information for longer. The huge plus about DeleteMe is that DeleteMe is the only service that does lean on the human component to remove your personal information off the internet. Personally, I feel like a hybrid approach is what makes more sense, as you have scalability and automated as well as a human component doing the oversight part. DeleteMe becomes kind of a mixed bag, and there's one last thing I have to mention. With DeleteMe, it's impossible to track what is happening in real time. You have to rely on that quarterly report to figure out and find out what's been happening and what's being done about your personal information. DeleteMe is the only service that offers card, phone, and email masking. I feel like that is a huge thing that they could talk about more or advertise a lot more heavy, as it's one of the only services that does it. DeleteMe does offer 24/7 support, with Optery being the only other service that offers this as well. So, another thing to keep in the back of your mind while you're making these important decisions. Now, the cost of the service is super important. I will throw up the current pricing on the screen. If you want any additional benefits, you could always check out the description below for links to exclusive discount codes that help support the channel at no cost to you. And as always, I appreciate it. Now, as I've talked about, I've gone over the pros of DeleteMe. You have a long-standing service with a ton of years behind its company, so they know what they're doing. You have the human component as well as the masking capability, which is one of a kind currently. The other thing is the transparency, which I always appreciate. They send you a detailed report, but it is every quarter. With that in mind, let's break down some of the cons that come with DeleteMe. Number one, the cost. It is $129 a year per person. That is a ton of money for anyone, especially if you're trying to cover a family. You get a almost fully automated service. It's still some manual components to it, and the least amount of automated removals per year. There's no free trial, which, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but I always appreciate a little test drive before I sign up with something. It doesn't cover every data broker. It doesn't cover the super niche data brokers. I hope at some point it will, but for now, if you find your information on these sites, you'll have to manually put in an opt-out request with them. So with all of that in mind, the pros and the cons, who is DeleteMe actually for? Busy professionals, people uncomfortable with technology. It gives you peace of mind by giving you quarterly information in a detailed report. So if you're looking for a set it and forget it situation, DeleteMe is for you. Don't forget to check out my description below. It has an exclusive discount code that could save you some money and make the price a little more ingestible. That being said, I don't recommend DeleteMe for those budget conscious people. If you want to go with a budget-friendly option, there's always lower tiers of Optery or Incogni. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.